72,543 WWE fans fill up Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania for night one of WrestleMania 40. The presentation was beautiful. We had a lot of new changes and certain little things that were added that made the show feel real. The camera work was beautiful. The way that they showed the wrestlers backstage preparing for the night in their matches, dimming the lights down in the crowd, and all sorts of other things that just make this show feel completely different than WrestleManias in the past. We are indeed in what Michael Cole called the Triple H era. And with that said, let's break down WrestleMania 40, starting with night one. And the first match of the night, Becky Lynch taking on the Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley. Now, for all of the matches, I'm not going to give a move-by-move analysis because there's no point in doing all that. I'm just going to talk about certain moves or certain spots in the matches or certain details about the matches. And this one, in my opinion, was at least the second best match of the night, if not the best. It's between this and the main event, and that being the case is extremely impressive considering the fact that Becky Lynch went into this match with a high fever of, I believe, 102, and the weather in Philadelphia on this night was extremely cold. So for Becky to put on a 17-minute match of this quality while being as sick as she was is actually mind-blowing, because there's no way in hell that I would have been able to do something like this and put on a match this good still. Now, this match for Rhea Ripley wasn't nearly as amazing as last year's match against Charlotte Flair, because that match was a match of the year contender. In fact, it even won Match of the Year at the Slammy Awards, so I don't think that match will compare to that at all, but it's still a pretty dang good WrestleMania women's battle. I really like the ending where Rhea Ripley does a riptide on the corner post and then does it again in the middle of the ring, because that just made her look completely dominant, as she should. And I've seen people say that this match was pointless and did nothing for Rhea Ripley, but I think that's dumb, because this match gave Rhea Ripley a WrestleMania victory against one of, if not the greatest, WWE women's wrestler of all time. I mean, back-to-back victories against Charlotte Flair and Becky Lynch? Come on now. Next up, we had the six-pack tag team ladder match for the undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships. And finally, we have split tag team championships. SmackDown and Raw now have their own tag team champions. This was long overdue, and we speculated that is exactly what they were going to do because of the way that they worded how to win this match before, where they said that this match only ends when both sets of tag team titles have been claimed, and they did it in a pretty good way. Now, as for the match itself, it kind of kept me entertained for most of it, but it's not even close to the best WrestleMania ladder match, but it's pretty good, I guess. Well, it's alright, but yeah, nothing too special in this match either. No crazy spots. I did like when R-Truth was pretending like this was an actual tag team match and he got the hot tag. That was the highlight of this match to me, because up to that point, although the match wasn't bad, like I said, it was just like whatever. It's WrestleMania, so my expectations are always going to be higher, and this match was fine. A-Town Down Under first grabbed the SmackDown Tag Team Championships, so any thought that they were going to break up anytime soon is definitely not happening. I'm kind of curious as to how they're going to be booked as tag team champions, because they have a lot of chemistry and I like them together, so that's a good move to have them pick up the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And then there's this one part later in the match, at the end, when Damian Priest is climbing up a ladder, and I guess some people didn't realize this, but when the referee stopped Damian from climbing, people were saying, oh, that ruined the match for them. But she was simply trying to save Damian from disaster, because that ladder was jacked up and the risk of climbing up that ladder was probably death. So just some clarification for people that were talking down about that part. And the awesome truth in this match by claiming the Raw tag team titles, giving R-Truth his first ever WrestleMania victory. Now, this was extremely long overdue, because R-Truth, he's been around for well over 20 years, and he's been one of the highlights of the company with his comedic character and the memories that he's given us over the last 2 decades. Like, come on now. Rey Mysterio and Andrade taking on Santos Escobar and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. this match was a match. I mean, like, it wasn't bad either. There were no bad matches on this card, but, like, nothing too special about this one either. Ray versus Dom last year was one of the best matches of WrestleMania 39, and they had those memorable moments like Ray whooping Dom, and this year they kind of went away from all of that and simply focused on their in-ring stuff, and that's fine and all. Like, the match was cool, but there was a lot that they could have done and they didn't do. Many of us thought that Carlito would turn heel and either cost them the match or do it after the match, but like nothing happened. Like, they didn't even tease a Carlito heel turn or nothing, not a facial expression or like, unless I missed something, but I didn't see any teases for that, and I was hoping for it, but that didn't take away from this match. But like, yeah, there's nothing too memorable about it. Like, I kind of already forgot what happened in this match to this point, to be honest, because that's how non-memorable it was. Well, there was that one thing when Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson came out of the crowd wearing masks, and they became unofficial members of the LWO by helping Ray and Andrade pick up the victory and taking care of the members of Legado. So that was fine, I guess, but yeah, that wasn't even necessary, but yeah, it was cool, I guess. Brother versus brother, Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso. What can I say about this match? So, in all honesty, I don't hate it nearly as much as most people claim that they hate it, nor do I like it, because it was similar to how I just said about the last match. Nothing memorable happened. There were no further story beats. There was only that one moment at the end when Jimmy was begging Jey to forgive him, and Jey pretty much fell for it, picked up Jimmy, gave him a hug, and then Jimmy gave him a super kick. But then Jey ends up winning anyways. I kind of don't like that Jey won. I was predicting that Jimmy would win because Jimmy definitely needs the victory way more than Jey, because Jey would be fine either way, win or lose. They could have done a lot more in this match. I thought that there would be at least some interference from Solo or just something, and there was nothing. Like, it was basically a 11-minute super kick fest. Like, I thought I was watching AEW Dynamite. But however, even despite that, I don't completely hate this match. I actually liked how the crowd was saying yeet, no yeet for like the entirety of every single move that they hit on each other. But from what I've seen, and I agree with this might be the low point of night one, because this was one of the most anticipated matches of the night, and then it didn't deliver in nearly the way that we thought it would. I mean, even if the match quality wasn't great, they could have at least told more of a story during the match, and they basically did nothing. So I give this the dud of the night. 6-woman tag team action. Damage Control members Asuka, Dakota Kai, and Kairi Sane taking on the most dominant looking trio in women's tag team history, Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill. This match was only 8 minutes long, but my goodness, forget the match. The entrances alone from the trio of Bianca, Jade, and Naomi, my goodness, that entrance was phenomenal. And their gear, they looked like superheroes, and like, yeah, that was amazing. Forget the match. I just want to talk about their look, because the match itself was just blah, it's whatever, but that entrance and their gear, my goodness. And plus, there was no way in hell that Jade Cargill was going to lose her first WrestleMania match, or that Bianca was going to lose her WrestleMania undefeated streak in a tag team match. And Asuka remains winless at WrestleMania. The woman that had the longest winning streak ever in WWE is winless at WrestleMania. She deserves way better than this, but hopefully some year. Okay, so forget what I said earlier when I said that the match of the night only goes between the first and the last match, because my brain was completely fried. And how dare I forget this absolute classic of an Intercontinental Championship battle between Sami Zayn and the 666-day longest Intercontinental title reign of all time by Gunther. Okay, maybe I'm saying too much by calling it a classic, but this match was absolutely fantastic. One thing I would say is that they kind of spoiled the ending when, before the match started, Gable and Sami Zayn were talking backstage, and Gable told Sami that you're going to owe me a favor. And the way that wrestling works, We just knew that at that moment, that was just them telling us Sami Zayn is going to win this match. I actually predicted that Gunther was going to retain because I didn't see Sami Zayn being the one that would end this historic reign. I didn't think that he was undeserving of it. He absolutely deserves it. He was one of the best intercontinental champions in the modern era, so yes, he definitely deserves it. But I didn't think that he was the one that was going to do it. And, well, he was. Sami Zayn got the job done. This was another scenario where I was thinking that Gable at some point was going to come down and cost Sami this match, but I guess we're going down the route of having Gable take on Gunther later down the line. That does make a lot more sense since this storyline between Gable and Gunther was more about them personally and not about the title. So yeah, Sami Zayn brought out the Brainbuster. I saw some idiots online saying that this was a botch. I'm guessing they thought that it was supposed to be a superplex, but I guess they've never seen a Brainbuster before. And yeah, the Brainbuster spot was a surprise. Sami Zayn hit the haluva kick. The moment, you just knew it in that moment what was going to happen. It felt dramatic and it was a great way to end this reign. And the main event, the greatest tag team match in WrestleMania history. 44 minutes and 35 seconds of cinema in the wrestling ring. Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns and The Rock. And my goodness, can we talk about The Rock's entrance? The final boss for real. He came out with the People's Championship that he was presented with the night before at the Hall of Fame. The way that he came out through the fire of the Brahma Bull logo, the smooth walk with his 2003 Hollywood Rock theme song. I mean, this defines aura. And Roman Reigns looking as jacked, if not more jacked than ever. Now, the first half of this match, it was pretty slow. It wasn't boring by any means, but it was slow paced. They were just getting a feel of each other. But then it all picked up when it goes to the outside, and The Rock keeps on cheating the whole entire time, telling the ref that he will fire him if he counts, and telling the ref to ignore all of the low blows or whatever that The Rock was doing to Seth and Cody. In fact, the ref apologized to Cody at one point because he said that he can do nothing about it because The Rock threatened to fire him. This was basically a tag team version of the Bloodlines rule match. There were a few cool spots in this match too. Roman spearing Seth through the barricade, The Rock trash-talking Mama Rhodes, Roman Reigns spearing The Rock unintentionally, and The Rock selling it like death. Like, The Rock is one of the greatest sellers of all time, I'm convinced, because his facial expressions and the way that he exaggerates things, it's pretty funny. After this, Seth and Cody with the double pedigree to Rock and Roman, 1, 2, and they both kick out at 2.999. I'm not gonna lie, if Seth and Cody were going to win, that was the one moment where I thought it was actually going to happen. Another spot that was interesting is when Cody hit the crossroads on Roman and The Rock pulled the ref out of the ring. Roman was getting crossroad multiple times by Cody, which was a pretty good hint that in a fair one-on-one match, Cody had Roman's number. They even recreated the ending to last year's Roman and Cody match when Cody hit the double crossroads, and then as he's about to attempt a third one, The Rock comes from behind and hits Cody in the back with a belt, and Roman bounces off the ropes and hits Cody with the spear. I really like that callback to last year's match. And in the end, The Rock and Roman Reigns come out victorious as The Rock hits the rock bottom and the people's elbow on Cody Rhodes. 1, 2, 3. And now Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns is Bloodline rules. WrestleMania 40 Night 2. What can I say? Although Night 1 wasn't the worst show in the world, there was a lot of pressure going into Night 2 because what was hyped up to be one of, if not the best WrestleMania of all time at this point was nowhere near that level. It wasn't even in top 5 contention. In fact, not even top 10. But Night 2 still had the potential to right that wrong. And my goodness, did Night 2 deliver. Right from the start, you can just tell that the vibes and energy was completely different. The Night 1 crowd was being criticized for being too quiet and not rowdy enough for a WrestleMania crowd, especially in Philadelphia, a place where the fans are well known for being one of the most rowdiest in wrestling. But I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that the cause of that was because of the weather, how cold it was on Night 1. But as soon as this show started, you can just feel the energy shift. Michael Cole announces that the weather is way more warmer than the night before, and you can just hear the crowd already, how much more louder they were off rip. Similar to the night before, we start the show with a promo, but this time by the returning Stephanie McMahon, who we haven't seen properly on WWE TV in like half a decade, and she introduces us to what she claims is the Paul Levesque era. First match of the night, we are starting off hot with the World Heavyweight Championship, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre with CM Punk on commentary. Seth and Drew had special entrances, which also showed us how serious they were to make Night 2 feel special, because up to this point, the only special entrance we've had at WrestleMania at all was The Rock's on Night 1. We got the special introductions with the camera in the ring and Samantha Irvin doing her thing. Bell rings and we get an instant Claymore, throwback to WrestleMania 28, and honest to God, I actually thought that Drew had the match won that fast, but Seth kicks out. And this was only a 10-minute match, but it felt like it was longer because of how much they got in. Like, this was a really fun match. Well paced and well put together. There was a point where it did become a finisher fest, but it all made sense. I believe it took Drew 4 Claymores to beat Seth, but it didn't take away from the match like it did with like Roman and Brock at WrestleMania 34, where the finishers just didn't make sense and they were just spamming them just to spam them. This all made sense. Drew was trying to destroy Seth, and Seth, when he hit his curb stomps, did it in moments where he was taking advantage of the position that Drew was in. Drew would continuously taunt CM Punk on the outside throughout this match too, because he knows that this was supposed to be CM Punk's spot, and Punk has to watch Drew win the World Heavyweight Championship right in front of him, and that's exactly what he did. Drew hits a Claymore on Seth, Seth kicks out, Drew backed up into the corner one more time. It was all dramatic, and he hits the Claymore for the 4th time. 1, 2, 3, new World Heavyweight Champion. And for the first time in his WWE career, Drew McIntyre is a world champion in front of the fans. Seth and Drew share a special moment as Seth is teary-eyed, telling Drew something, maybe that you deserve it or whatever. Drew celebrates with his family, and he takes things a little bit too far at this moment. Drew won Social Star of the Year at the Slammy Awards, and he continues with that gimmick by tweeting live during this celebration. And right after that, something in his head, the demons that he can't escape, just went off, as instead of just being happy for his own moment, instead of just celebrating and going backstage, he had to get in CM Punk's face, and this became Drew's nightmare. He climbs up on the commentary table and he talks his shit to CM Punk, and CM Punk is just sitting there laughing, saying, "Drew, this is your moment, enjoy it." And Drew should have listened, because as soon as he turned his back, CM Punk with the attack on Drew McIntyre, which led to Damian Priest coming out to cash in his money in the bank. Drew's back in the ring, and Damian hits the South of Heaven chokeslam. 1, 2, 3. Now we have 2 new World Heavyweight Champions within minutes. This was one of the funnest cash-ins I've ever seen. It wasn't the most surprising one in the world, because maybe just me, but I kind of felt like Damian would cash in here. I just didn't actually expect it fully because of the way that Damian's been botching his cash-ins over the last year. But my goodness, this was a fun way to start off the night. Philadelphia street fight between the Pride and the Final Testament, with Bubba Ray as the referee and Snoop Dogg on commentary. Although this was a very fun match, Snoop Dogg on commentary, to me personally, was the funnest thing about this match, because the way he was reacting to just all the little moves gave me the impression that maybe Snoop wasn't completely sober during this match. But about the action, everybody was beating the hell out of each other with candlesticks. Montez Ford with the spot of the match, flying over the ropes and overshooting it to the point where he almost went over the barricade. Scarlett and B-Fab had their moments in this match. Even though they weren't actually competitors in this match, they still had some big roles of what happened during the action. Towards the end, Karrion Kross would get in Bubba Ray Dudley's face, I'm guessing for counting too slow, and then Bubba would put the glasses on, which would lead to a big spear to Karrion Kross by Bobby Lashley. And at this point of the match, it all turns into a comedic skit. They do the "what's up" move, they all slap each other in the chest, and they all say, "get the tables," and they do so. But then the first table breaks, but thankfully it didn't take away from the moment. They just simply got another table and carried on. Montez Ford with a big splash to Karrion Kross. 1, 2, 3. And yeah, that was a pretty fun match. It didn't really have to be on WrestleMania, I still stand by that, but Bobby Lashley definitely deserved to be on this card some way, somehow, so I'm not complaining. LA Knight versus AJ Styles in a match where they told us who was going to win as soon as we came back from commercial break, because this match was sponsored by Slim Jim, and we all know LA Knight is the Slim Jim. Well, what is he? I guess he's the face of Slim Jim for WWE. LA Knight comes out in a Slim Jim car and gives the keys to some woman in the crowd. I don't know who she was. AJ Styles has new music, and Def Rebel does it again. They need to go away. Like, please, go away. They brawl on the ramp immediately, which fits the tone of their storyline, because this has been a blood feud with all of the attacks everywhere, at conventions, at homes, in different countries. The big thing missing from this match was that because of the way that this feud has been, there should have been some kind of stipulation, maybe a street fight or no DQ. But regardless, this match was fine. It wasn't a 5-star banger or nothing, but it was fine for what it was. On offense for most of the match, AJ was working LA Knight's leg, and LA Knight was showing off his offensive bag in any way he possibly could, because that has been the one thing that he's been criticized for over the last year. In the end, AJ goes for the phenomenal forearm, and LA Knight pushes him off the ropes and hits AJ with the BFT to pick up the victory. United States Championship triple threat match. Logan Paul comes out in the biggest truck I've ever seen, with Prime labeled all over it, which, just like the match before, pretty much gave us a clear idea of who might come out victorious. He even comes out with a Prime bottle again, just like WrestleMania last year. When I say a Prime bottle, I mean an actual human being dressed as a Prime bottle. Last year, it was KSI, and this year, I just knew it was going to be somebody, another streamer, maybe his brother or something. Kevin Owens comes out on a golf cart, a callback to what happened on SmackDown, and then Randy Orton comes out, and Kevin Owens backs up the golf cart and gives Randy a ride down a ramp. A ride that was maybe too fast for Randy's liking, because he looked like at one point he was about to fall over and even told Kevin to chill. This was a well-paced triple threat match. It never became the usual one-on-one match while one person lays outside of the ring. That happened very briefly. All three men throughout the entire match kept the action going, and everything made sense, every move connected. But in the beginning of this match, it was a handicap match pretty much, with Kevin and Randy beating the living hell out of Logan Paul, until eventually they realized that somebody has to pick up the pin. And that's when they began to brawl, and this match took off from there. As for the key points in this match, it begins when Logan Paul gets the brass knuckles and misses on Randy. Randy then tries to steal the knuckles from Logan, but then Logan hits Randy with a low blow. He goes for the knockout punch again, and Randy counters with an RKO. Randy doesn't think this is enough. He goes for the punt kick, but then the Prime bottle grabs Randy's leg. They go to the outside, and Show Speed reveals himself to be the Prime bottle. Randy, in rage, kicks the living shit out of Speed and gives him a vicious RKO on the announce table. Logan sends Randy into the ring post, goes for a frog splash inside the ring, and Randy avoids it. Kevin Owens goes for a pop-up powerbomb, and Randy counters with one of the coolest RKO counters in midair that we've ever seen. Logan throws Randy out of the ring and takes advantage of the damage that Randy has done, hits a frog splash on Kevin Owens, and picks up the victory to retain his US Championship. The WWE Women's Championship match. Io Sky versus Bayley. My goodness, did this match deliver. Bayley comes out with new entrance music, and I was saddened that it wasn't a song by Paramore, which was rumored. I know they used Simmer by Hayley Williams in the promo package, but I was still hoping that they will use that or something else by Paramore for Bayley's entrance song. But instead, we got another generic Def Rebel, whatever you want to call this. I don't think this was a good song, but maybe it'll grow on me. I doubt it. Io Sky had a pretty cool entrance. Her song, I don't know who made her song, if it was Def Rebel or whoever was before them, but man, at WrestleMania, this thing was banging. Now, one of the biggest fears going into this match that people had was that Bayley didn't seem to be as loved by the crowd as a babyface, and that this may cause the crowd to be dead during this match. But that, luckily, was not the case. The crowd was fully behind babyface Bayley. And one thing I loved about this match was that there was no interference, and they left it between Bayley and Io as a one-on-one match. There was no overbooking with damage control or for anybody who would defend Bayley. They just kept it simple, and they put on one of the best matches of both nights of WrestleMania 40. Throughout the match, Bayley was doing a great job at selling her ankle. It might have been a real injury after that suicide dive. That's when I noticed her doing it. But if it wasn't, then she sold it pretty good. Because as the match progressed, you could see in Bayley's face and how slow she was moving around at certain times that she was selling something. The highlight of this match for me was when Bayley slapped Io and Io hit her with a knee to the back and then goes up top to hit the moonsault on Bayley. Then Bayley kicks out and the shock on Io's face made this moment feel dramatic. Io then starts spamming moonsaults, connects on the first two, but on the third one, Bayley moves out of the way and goes for a rose plant. But Io counters the rose plant by doing some kind of handspring, and man, that was wild. Io runs into a clothesline. Bayley does the belly to back suplex, connects with a top rope elbow, then hits the rose plant. 1, 2, 3, and we have a new WWE Women's Champion, and the crowd goes berserk for the woman, the legend, who was long overdue for a WrestleMania moment like this. She hasn't had something this big since WrestleMania 33, and even that moment was nothing compared to how big and how special this felt. It was at this moment in the show when I kind of realized that something not that important, something that would make the show feel more like a spectacle was missing, and that was that there was a lack of pyro throughout the show, especially for big championship victories like this one or Damian Priest earlier in the night. I'm sure that they have their reasons. Maybe it's an airlines issue that the pyro would get in the way of airplanes or something, but they could have at least done some in-arena pyro, but whatever. And now it's time for the most overbooked WrestleMania main event of all time. Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. And Cody comes up from the Cody Vader wearing a mask that looked like the Nightmare Family logo, and right beside him is Brandy Rhodes. You can see it in Cody's face. He is taking in the moment, the biggest match of his career. As he walks down to the ring, a bunch of pyro goes off, and now he awaits their tribal chief, Roman Reigns, who got an orchestrated entrance where they did a remix to his theme song played by a live band, and my goodness, this sounded amazing. Roman Reigns' theme song, as it is already one of the best theme songs of all time, but my goodness, the way this sounded, it already gave off Final Boss vibes the way it was, but this felt like the final boss of all final bosses. And The Rock, just forget what he says, because Roman Reigns, at least in this moment, was that. We see Cody Rhodes' mom at ringside, just like the night before, and Samantha Irvin gives us one of the greatest introductions to a wrestling match of all time. And for the next 33 minutes and 25 seconds, we all witnessed a movie in the form of professional wrestling. For the first about 20 minutes or so, we got a pretty clear-cut one-on-one match. Since it was bloodline rules and it was no disqualification, we did get our fair share of weapons and we did get a fighting in the crowd, but for the most part, it was a straight-up one-on-one bout, similar to how last year's was. We got a lot of back-and-forth action, a lot of finishers, a lot of kickouts, and it was just perfectly well-paced the entire time from start to finish. Cody Rhodes hits a spear on Roman Reigns and Roman kicks out. Cody then hits the crossroads, and then this is when the match became overbooked, but beautifully overbooked. Jimmy Uso comes out and hits Cody with a super kick. Roman then hits the Superman punch, and then out comes Jay. Jay and Jimmy began to brawl on the stage, and then Jay with an enormous spear off of the stage onto some tables. Back in the ring, Cody rolls up Roman. Roman kicks out and hits a spear on Cody. Then Cody kicks out. Now Roman is mad and locks in the guillotine. Cody struggles to get out, and they fall outside of the ring. Cody spears Roman through the barricade, hits a crossroads in the ring, hits another, and goes for a third, and looks over his shoulder because he knows what's coming next. But he looks over the wrong shoulder, and out from the other side comes Solo Sikoa with a spike to Cody. He then drags Roman over Cody, and we all get deja vu from WrestleMania 39. 1, 2, but no, it's not over. Cody Rhodes kicks out. Solo then begins to yell at Roman Reigns in rage. He then starts beating on Cody, and they hit the spear spike combo, but Cody Rhodes still survives. And at this point, we're wondering who is coming out next. Surely somebody is going to come and save Cody. And then we hear Jogging down the ramp as fast as he can, out comes John Cena getting his revenge on Solo. He hits Roman Reigns with an AA and goes on the outside and does the same to Solo but through the announce table. And at this moment, John Cena stares into the crowd and shit just got real because we hear walking down the ramp with intense purpose, out comes one of John Cena's biggest rivals of his career, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, in final boss form. They both get into the ring and they do a stare down. All of the chills. This moment was special. They seemed to try to recreate The Rock and Hulk Hogan stare down from WrestleMania 18, but the crowd didn't really give them that same energy. I think it's because they were already in shock and they were just taking in the moment. John Cena swings first, but The Rock counters with a rock bottom, and then The Rock takes off his Mama Rhodes belt. But then, to all of our surprise, this music plays. One of the loudest pops of the entire weekend, and I'm going to be honest, I swear to God, I thought it was Dean Ambrose. I thought that Triple H and TK made the phone call to open the forbidden door, but it was too good to be true. Everyone's looking around in the crowd, and from behind, out comes Seth Rollins in a Shield attire and a steel chair, and Roman Reigns, out of nowhere, immediately hits a Superman punch on Seth Rollins, and they both roll out of the ring. And now The Rock is in the ring with his Mama Rhodes belt all alone with Cody Rhodes. Everybody to this point that we know of has come out to help Cody, yet The Rock is still on top in the middle of the ring. So who is left? Who can save Cody Rhodes? This match to this point was already legendary and overbooked, and it seems like there is no way possible that this can get any better or even any crazier than it already has. Out comes the freaking Undertaker. Him and The Rock stare each other down for a few seconds, and the Undertaker delivers a chokeslam to The Rock. The lights go out once again and he disappears. Now, I'm seeing people say that this made no sense, but it makes all of the sense in the world. Roman Reigns is the one that took the yard from the Undertaker. Now, yeah, Undertaker and The Rock, they didn't have a humongous rivalry back in the Attitude Era, but they've had enough run-ins for this to make sense for that alone too. But I see this more so as Undertaker getting revenge on Roman Reigns. And now, one of the most dramatic moments in WWE history. Roman Reigns in the center of the ring. On one side, he has a chair. On the other side is the Mama Rhodes belt. He has Cody on one side and Seth on the other. Roman is clearly struggling emotionally to decide what to do next. Does he focus on the moment and take out Cody Rhodes with the steel chair, which will undoubtedly put him in position to win this match? Or does he let his emotions get the best of him as he faces his trauma from 2014 from Seth Rollins hitting Roman in the back, which broke up the Shield? And of course, the theme of the night, champions letting their emotions get the best of them, as Roman decides to hit Seth in the back. And Seth Rollins sells this exactly the same way that Roman did back in 2014. The same scream, the same fall to the knees. This was done purposely for sure. And now that that's done, Roman refocuses on the match and Cody Rhodes. He throws a chair aside, goes in the corner, getting ready for the spear, and Roman runs straight into a knee by Cody, and Cody instantly hits a crossroads, and then a second, and now the moment is real. Cody lifts Roman back up and sets up for a third crossroads. The crowd is hype, Cody is shaking, and then he hits it. He pins Roman. 1, 2, 3. 1,316 days. It's all over. Roman's reign of terror has come to an end, and Cody Rhodes has finished the story. Samantha Irving, in excitement, damn near chokes out trying to announce Cody Rhodes as the new WWE champion. You can hear the silence on commentary, because every time Michael Cole tried to speak, he almost choked up himself. This was truly one of the most beautiful moments in WrestleMania, hell, in wrestling history. The ring fills up with a bunch of people, a bunch of supporters of Cody. Brandy, Randy, Cena, LA Knight, Sami Zayn, and Jay hold up Cody on his shoulders as he hoists up the WWE Championship, and Cody goes on the top rope to recreate the image of his father, Dusty Rhodes. But this time, the moment is real, because for the first time, a Rhodes family member is the true WWE World Champion. Cody even calls Bruce Pritchard and Triple H to come to the ring, and just my goodness, this moment was beautiful. They all leave the ring. Cody's pyro goes off as WrestleMania comes to an end. Cody walks up the ramp and holds up the title one more time as WrestleMania goes off air. And now my overall thoughts of WrestleMania 40. Historically, night ones of WrestleMania have been the better shows, but this year changed all of that because night 2 alone was one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time. And when you join them together as you should, this may be the greatest WrestleMania ever. I'm not going to go too far and straight up say that it is because it's still too recent for me to straight up say that. But because of how great everything and how perfectly everything on night 2 went, that alone makes this a guaranteed top 5 WrestleMania ever. In fact, between both nights, the only thing that may have been disappointing at all was the Jimmy Uso versus Jey Uso match. Although I personally didn't hate it as much as everybody else did, it still, to me, was disappointing compared to what it could have been. But if we're talking about 12 out of 13 matches being pretty dang good to great to perfection like the main event here was, then it will be foolish of me to not say that this is a guaranteed top 5 WrestleMania. But that is my opinion. What do you guys think of both nights of WrestleMania? What was the best match? What was the worst? What was the best moment? And whatever else is on your mind, please do your boy a favor and comment down below your opinions. Hit that like button, share this video any way you can, hit that subscribe button, and follow my social media accounts in the links in the description. WrestleMania season may be over, but there is no off season, and we keep on going. And with that said, you guys, stay smooth.